Miss Marshall White, 9th floor.
Specialties department.
I'm looking for a gold symbol.
Thimbles. Gold thimbles. You had them advertised.
That would be specialties, ma'am. The 9th floor.
Express elevator to the 9th floor of a department store. Carrying Miss Marshall White on a most prosaic, ordinary, run-of-the-mill errand.
Well, there's only one episode of Severance left, and I'm a pretty sad potato because
I have nothing else. I have this, and I have fucking pencil erasers.
So if you are experiencing the same feelings, if you are like me and thinking to yourself there is no such thing as too much severance, and there is no such thing as a detail too little to be noticed or to be shared, then you've come to the right place. So welcome to Geekonomy channel. I'm your detective host Igor, and today we're going to deep dive into Severance season 2 episode 9.
This is deep. I'm going deeper. I'm going deep. I'm going so deep, sir, because I'm gonna be deep.
Even though this episode mostly felt like with this storyline, just wait for the next week, we're gonna blow your brains up. And with this storyline, just wait for the next week. But with this storyline, oh my god, in the season finale, we're gonna completely explode your brains. Still, there's a lot of information to cover. There's Miss Huang, there's Milchik with his rebellion, there's the love story of Burt and Ernie and Dylan and his wife, not wife, and obviously everything that happens with Eagans and the Cold Harbor situation. So as usual, I prepared a lot of interesting facts for you, so
these facts should be very pleasing. Try to enjoy each equally.
And let us start with the name of the episode. It's called After Hours. The same exact name has an episode in the TV show Twilight Zone. And if you're gonna watch this episode just like I did, you're gonna see a lot of connections to this episode of Severance. First of all, it's kind of fun. Even though it's a show from 1956, I kind of enjoy watching those old TV shows or movies sometimes. It's not something that I do on a daily basis, but they have their certain vibe, this feel that you're not gonna experience in the modern TV shows or movies. So sometimes it's fun, and the episode was actually pretty interesting. And maybe it's already, the crazy fun in me, but as soon as I started to hear this elevator dings in the episode, I was already like, But if elevator sounds can be just a coincidence, the fact that Miss Marcia White is going in a weird elevator to the 9th floor that doesn't exist in the building because she's looking for a gold thimble.
I'm looking for a gold symbol.
Thimbles. Gold thimbles. You had them advertised.
I mean, it's pretty much out there in the surface. By the way, what do you think about this scene? I mean, it can be interpreted in two different ways. It was just some kind of a password used from the Twilight Zone by the, LumonIndustries. So we know that in this universe, there is a TV show that is called Twilight Zone, and Lumen is probably using it as some sort of, code word for people to recognize each other. Or it's just the creators winking at us and like, if you have seen the Twilight Zone, it means we've seen it too, and there are some similarities between this TV show and ours, and you can check it out. Because in the episode of the Twilight Zone, Marcia White is actually a mannequin, and she's like from a group of mannequins that come to life every month. And each time, just one mannequin gets to experience life as a human being for a month until they are being, switch to somebody else.
You will sit with me at my revolving.
It's not exactly like our Inis, but the whole tragedy of the mannequins trying to experience life just once, a couple of years for just a month, it's very, very, relevant to our experience of our Inis, their tragedy in this situation. Also in this scene, we kind of realized that Jame Eagan was, spilling his lineage left and right.
As he spilt his lineage upon the soil.
Because here in this scene, when Selvig is talking to the guard and she's saying that she's one of James, and Devon basically is holding her stomach pretending to be pregnant again, we understand that this is kind of, this is something that happens pretty often in this place. So there are a lot of offsprings from James Eagan, Jame Eagan, whatever you want to call this weird. I just want to tell him,
devour feculence.
Still, it brings us back to the whole theories of Miss Cobell and her child. We didn't get a confirmation that she was pregnant and she gave birth, but she was very experienced with Devon's baby, and this is something that happens if you've been a babysitter before or you've been a mother before. So who can be her child? Now, there is a theory that maybe it's Mark, but I'm pretty doubtful about it. I mean, Mark, according to his driver license, is about 40 something. Patricia Arquette, who's playing Miss Cobell, is 53 or 56. I mean, teenage pregnancy is not something that can be ruled out in a place where they were like sniffing ether in the age of 8, but still it's something that in my mind is just a stretch. But then again, HellyR is being told to us that she's 30 years old, and we still have no clue who her mother is, so there is this theory that maybe Miss Cobell is somehow Helena's mother. Maybe she was separate, maybe she was, like forced to forget her or whatever it is, I don't know, but it kind of feels that there is something there. So they go into the demonic clinic, maybe it's a demonic clinic, I don't know, and we can see that there's an image of some weird dude in a military uniform, and he kind of looks like he's 30, 40 years old. We've definitely seen this image in Lumon's severed floor many times in the O&D department. I noticed him many times. I was talking about his mustache many times, and it kind of feels that maybe this is Kier Eagan, because every time we're seeing our great leader, it's obviously Kier, praise Kier, and it kind of makes sense that this is him too. And we know that Kier was a military doctor during the Civil War era, but then again we know that Kier Eagan was born in 1841. The Civil War was at 1861 till 1865, so he was 24 at this period. This dude is about 40. I know that people during that period were aging pretty quickly, but still, not like that. Anyway, we get an image from the trailer with Miss Selvig waiting to talk to Mark's Eni for the first time in this season. Barely we had any interaction between Cobell and Mark this season at all, and now we have the reunion, and probably she's gonna tell him not to finish Cold Harbor because, as she confirmed to us, it's gonna kill Gemma.
She's already dead.
So since we started to talk about Gemma, we get a glimpse once again to her hell floor. We are seeing the rooms, we are seeing the 2 doors. We know that there are 4 rooms there for probably 4 people. I don't know why else would you have 4 rooms for just 1 person. Doesn't make any sense. We have a glimpse once again on those rooms with the name of the MDR files, and just count the rows. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's at least 15 rooms here. They're all super small. Look at the size of this shit. There is no room for a plane there. There is no room for a dentist there. There is no room for anything there. Everything that we have seen in episode 7 feels like it was some sort of a simulation, something that happened in her mind probably, or I don't know how else to explain this, because it looks like a freaking, I don't know, it's a toilet booth. You can barely do your 1 and 2s there. And of course we have seen that Mark was doing 25 files, and the last one is called Harbor. By the way, one of my Patreons, Melissa, noticed that we have 24 babies in the intro. We have 23 next to Mark when he's waking up, and the 24th baby is Kier Eagan. Maybe it's connected, even though like 24 and 25 not exactly matches, but kind of still feels a little bit similar. Like maybe there is something there, maybe there is something once again with creating new people, new personalities. Still, there's a place for theories and there's a place for facts. And the facts, there are way more rooms than Mark was refining. And I don't know if, Gemma was going to every room or she was going just to the rooms that were refined by Mark. It kind of makes sense that the latter here is more logical, because she is connected to Mark, and the guy, the watcher that was watching both Mark and her, is connecting between them. So for whom were the rest of the files? Tom Water, Sienna, the files that HellyR, Dylan and Irving were refining, what they were for whom? Where are those people? The next lab rats next to Gemma, who are they? I still don't get an answer, and hopefully we will get an answer for that. So we are seeing Dr. Evil is sitting by himself in the Watcher's room. Nobody is there because it's only 9 AM. No one still arrived to work, but he is there waiting for Mark to arrive and finally finish the Cold Harbor so he can take Gemma, who is sitting her next to the most depressing table I have ever seen in my life. We have seen the cinematographer in the podcast talking about the triangle being like a base for the cinematography on this TV show, like those lines and everything, etc. But still, when I'm looking at this table, it bugs me for some reason. I'm looking at it just said, give her a normal table, please. And we look at the Dr. Evil, and he has a band-aid, and it's a black band-aid. Contrary to the band-aid that Mark was wearing in season 1, it's even at this level of, severance between worker, we are seeing that Enis, they have the blue, or maybe if you are from O&D, you're gonna have the green color, but people who are not severed and working there with the severed folks are all wearing either black badges or black band-aids when they are being injured. And this is the moment that kind of drives me crazy, because you're gonna understand why. So when we see the Cold Harbor file that it's right now on 96% of completion, we can check out the chip number that it's working on the file. It's 4000263. Sorry, 400263. So no problem there, right? Because we have seen in episode 7 that the same chip number was working on Drainsville file. This is obviously the chip number for Mark S. I mean, there is no problem there, but there is actually, because, you know, when we have seen him working on the Cold Harbor file in episode 7, it was a different number. It was 109827, usually the number that it's been associated with, you guessed it, HellyR. We have seen her number in season 1 in this screen. We have also seen it here, and here we kinda can notice that Mark has a different number. It's 112954. So yeah, small mistake, and we can see confirmation here on Milchik's screen. We have two people here working. One of them is 109827, which is obviously HellyR, of course, and the other one is 112954. So this is Mark. Of course this is Mark, but then again, if we move to season 1, we can see that Mark S number is 109827. Are you freaking kidding me? What is going on with the numbers here? At this moment, I'm kind of more convinced that, you know, this is the whole clocks either moving or not moving in from. Like, I spend so much time trying to understand why clocks that are not working, visibly not working, for some reason moving every time and changing time every time. And then again, it's probably one of those, you know, just because. And here the same situation, I don't see any logical explanation other but, you know, like, who gives a fuck what kind of number we're gonna put on the screen? Let's just put some number. People are not gonna notice from the part of the creators. And I really hope that I'm wrong about this and there is some sensible logical explanation why there are so many different numbers with, you know, the same people that are connected. Maybe you have some idea. Please don't tell me that HellyR and Mark are the same person and they're also alien or some shit like this. Anyway, we understand that this is supposed to be the most important day of Lumen history. You know, Drummond is basically like, this quota was promised today. Everybody's preparing for the Eagans in the beginning of the episode. They were like, today is gonna be the big day. But it kind of doesn't feel like this, you know? Everybody's like, you know, where is Mark? I mean, you probably have some tools to look for him other than go to Milchik and tell him, like, dude, where's Mark? Can you bring Mark, especially for that important day? I don't know, it kind of feels, once again, a little bit stretched, a little bit far-fetched to me, but then again, whatever. Anyway, moving forward, once again, we are seeing a license plate, and this is probably the first time we're seeing a license plate without the Remedium minibus, so it's not like obligatory to have a license plate like that in Kier Town, or once again, they were just, you know, didn't feel like putting a license plate and, you know, putting more effort into this TV show. It's obviously also a possibility. I don't want to sound like super negative about it. I mean, I would love this show to be absolutely 100% perfect, but I mean, we are watching one of the best series, one of the best seasons of television in the history of television. So there will be some nitpicks, but then again, like, this is not me bashing the show. This show is freaking amazing and I'm a huge fan. But when I'm talking to you, as I told you in the beginning of this video, there is no detail too little to be shared or too little to be noticed. So if I'm noticing something, I'm sharing it with you, whether it's positive or maybe just, you know, less positive about the show. Another interesting moment is when Milchik picks up the phone and he right away knows that this is Mark, even though the phone looks kind of old, but maybe there is some kind of identification system there. It was way before that he heard his voice. He was already, Mark Scout, how can I help you? And the whole conversation with Mark, and Mark is talking about, you know, some kind of soil hill. I mean, there is a place like that somewhere in the UK, but probably he's mentioning something completely else. It kind of made me think about Silent Hill, but I don't think there is a connection there. I don't think we're gonna see some zombies in this TV show. Hopefully not. No zombies, no aliens, please. And this moment also kind of made me scratch my hand, and I would love to hear your opinion about it. Is this something that maybe once again the creators just didn't think about, or maybe there's something else that's happening here behind the scenes? I mean, why would he even need to know his exact location? I mean, the importance of Mark cannot be exaggerated as far as we have seen in season 2. He's supposed to finish the file that is basically gonna change the whole human history. I don't know if it's gonna resurrect Kier Eagan, or maybe he's gonna conquer death, or whatever it's gonna happen, I don't know, but it's something that's supposed to change the whole Lumen industry and obviously the whole population of our civilization. So why in the world you wouldn't have any tracking device on him? And we also talked about it, you know, the OTC, the overtime contingency, the episode 9 of season 1. If you don't have some kind of a GPS tracker in the chip in the brain of your Inis, this whole OTC is an absolutely useless feculence. I mean 100%. If you don't know where they are, switching your Auris to Inis is absolutely useless. Just for example, think about episode 6 season 1 when Milchik is basically looking for the card and he's going to see Dylan in his house, and then he finds him and he's like, yeah, switch the Ini because I need to know where the card is. But then again, let's say this whole horrible situation, extra emergency, you know, the whole Lumen fate is on the line right now, whether they're gonna find the card or not gonna find the card. Milchik knocks on the door and Dylan is not there. He went for a smoke, he went for a, you know, to buy something in the store. He's sitting in some restaurant in Kier town, which is probably a small town, but still, it's not gonna be easy to find any person there just like that. So this company that's completely obsessed with control, not having any tools to find their people when they are needed, and when they're really needed, like Mark S in this situation, kind of once again seems unlikely and not logical. It's not working for me in this, you know, in this universe. So of course we can, you know, like stretch ourselves and maybe think that Milchik is lying, and if it's needed he will be able to switch some kind of a protocol and we'll be able to find Mark. But then again, Mark is pretty needed, and Mark is going to Damona is something that's supposed to be triggered. Now also one can argue that maybe reintegration switched off the GPS tracking, but then again, if the GPS tracker is being switched off, this is also something that's supposed to alert Lumen. I'm probably driving myself crazy, but this is the way I'm watching this TV show. I cannot just, you know, like brush it off and say, okay, we're watching a TV show, everything is the TV show, so whatever, let's just move on. This is just not me, this is not in my nature. I'm trying to make sense of everything. So once again, if you can help me with that, I would love to read your comments. Maybe you have some kind of a logical explanation why he's like, don't really know where Mark is, and why would Lumen, or from all of the companies in the world, the one that's completely obsessed with control, wouldn't have even the smallest GPS tracker, or, you know, hire like a whole team of detectives in this town to locate somebody who they need. Really need today. Another question that I have to you also, like I was scratching my head, like yeah, when he told Mark that he can basically take a day off, it's obviously something that he was thinking about after his conversation with Drummond. This is exactly the same moment that he had with his superior, and he told him like, I'm still, you know, somebody who is supposed to get respect, even from my superiors. You're not going to talk to me like I'm a little child.
And the way that Trammell says monosyllabic.
I know, it's great.
I remember there was one take there where Trammell, he said monosyllabically, and then he said the rest of the whole line like that.
Oh,
It is not my responsibility. It is yours. And it was a take we almost used because it was so interesting and weird. But ultimately we felt like, you know, go with that one. But he just, like, the fact that he's so brave as an actor just to go for things like that and be so centered in his body.
Contained.
And he just, it's all there. You just feel it, and he doesn't have to do anything on the outside. He doesn't have to gesticulate or move, and it's just very centered and locked in, and it's always great to watch.
Yeah.
And then there's Mark basically saying to him, okay, I don't need to lie to you and invent that I'm like sick. I just need to take a day for my shit. And you know, we have the work-life balance, so, and yeah, obviously Milchik respected that, but how it connects to the iceberg, you know, the tip of an iceberg, so everything just the tip of an iceberg, I don't know, maybe you have something in your mind. I don't see the connection between him looking at this drawing and then realizing that he's supposed to give Mark the day off.
What's he doing?
I think, well, first of all, we know the Wintertide Fellowship is what Cobell was a part of. You know, she was a Wintertide Fellow when she was younger. And so she's obviously on a track, right? I guess
Yeah.
to go up the corporate ladder there, it seems, but it's a little bit early. So it seems like he might be making that call. You know, there's been tension between them, but you know, it's a move.
So since we started to talk about Milchik, let's move on to Huang. And Milchik is basically making some moves in this episode, and he is giving finally the WinterTide fellowship to Miss Huang, and we realize that her name is Eustace. Eustace Huang. I mean, the name Eustace comes from the Greek eustachios, meaning fruitful or steadfast, a fitting name, by the way, for an ideal Lumen employee, someone who is productive, obedient, unwavering, obviously. And Eustace is still typically a name for a boy, not a girl, but maybe this is the whole point. I mean, the whole Lumen stripping people of their identity, maybe they're even stripping them from their gender. I mean, you're not a person, you're a wheel cog in the system. I mean, her last name is Huang. This is a common Chinese surname and it's meaning yellow or gold in Mandarin. I mean, after seeing the gift that Lumen gave Milchik in episode 3 with Kier in blackface, I'm not surprised that a child of the system in this company is named Fruitful Yellow. Obviously, as I told you, Huang is a popular Chinese name and it's not meant as something derogatory, but once again, if you want to insult somebody and if you want to use some racial stereotype, you will always find a way. But let's take it one step further into the tinfoil hat Twilight zone, pun intended. There's a well-known literally Eustace Scrub from the Chronicles of Narnia. He kind of starts off as insufferable, blindly obedient, following the rules without question, but over time he's forced through a transformation, shedding his old self and becoming one of the best characters in the Chronicles of Narnia. I mean, this scene with Miss Huang telling Dylan,
I should have facilitated better.
Kind of felt real, even though, if you remember,
You shouldn't let them have a funeral. It makes them feel like people.
So what do you think about this moment? Was she really authentic here? Is she really feeling bad about the way she was treating, Inis, even though, like, just a couple of episodes before she was talking about them like not people, not human? Maybe there is some kind of a change in the heart here. I mean, this is something pretty common for human beings. It usually takes us to being treated like feculence in order for us to understand that maybe we should have a little bit of more compassion to our fellow human beings. So maybe, her dreams being crashed completely and once again her being reduced to this wheel cog, to this not a human being without any identity in this company, kind of made her feel a little bit more for her, employees. I kind of think yes, but what do you think once again? So Miss Huang has been sent to the Gunnel Empathy Center in Svalbard. First of all, this name is not very new to me. There is this blogger, Anton Sommer, he's a Ukrainian blogger, he does content in English also, he doesn't need my advertisement, he has millions of views, but as soon as I heard Svalbard, I was like, I heard this name somewhere. And even the name of his video is basically called Svalbard, the Edge of the World, because it literally is the edge of our world. And it's, the whole sending somebody you don't like to the edge of the world kind of takes a new meaning in this episode of Severance. You see, Svalbard is one of the northernmost inhabited places on Earth. It's located just 650 miles from the North Pole and it exists in a near perpetual state of extremes, months of endless daylight in the summer followed by a winter of pure darkness. There are no roads connected to settlements, no native human population, it's just scientists, miners, and the occasional explorer or maybe some crazy tourist. So not exactly a great place to spend your career, if you know what I mean. By the way, if that wasn't remote enough, Svalbard is also home to something that feels straight out of the dystopian future. It's a vault, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called as, the Doomsday Vault. Hidden inside a mountain in the island of Spitsbergen, the underground bunker is designed to outlast the apocalypse. Its mission is to preserve the world crops no matter what happens to the civilization. Nuclear war, climate catastrophe, biological disaster, finishing the Cold Harbor file, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not an apocalyptical show, but sometimes it has some vibes. You know what I mean? It has some vibes of there is some kind of a shitty apocalypse coming our way here. Another interesting thing is Gunnel Eagan is not somebody that we are familiar with. We know all of the CEO Eagans and we know Imogen, Kier Eagan's wife, praise Kier, obviously. Of course, if you didn't praise Kier today, what is your excuse? But then again, Huang Eagan is somebody completely new. And since, as we discussed in the beginning of this video, Jame was spilling his lineage left and right, and probably his descendants and, people before him were also kind of promiscuous in this matter. Probably there are way more Eagans running around the planet that we are aware of. And this Gunnel is basically a Swedish name, and it's derived from the Old Norse Gunhild, meaning battle maiden or warrior woman. So the guy who's playing, Drummond, or as my friend Real calls him, Evil Horror, this is the greatest nickname in the history of the nicknames. He's also being portrayed by a Swedish actor, as far as I know, or somebody, from that area. So maybe there is some kind of a small connection here, or maybe it's not. But then again, we are seeing that the extent of Lumen and the whole Eagan lineage is obviously way bigger than just, United States or the Kier town. Another interesting moment, especially in my previous videos, a lot of people were writing to me, don't you understand, this TV show is about how bad capitalism is, blah blah blah, and it kind of drove me crazy, because saying that this show is about that capitalism is bad is just like saying that From is about monsters, and Lost is about people living on the island, and Dark is about a boy who got lost. So yeah, this is an oversimplification, and obviously there's a lot of jabs here towards capitalism. But then again, shitty people, the faculence people, they can be either in capitalism or in a different ideology. And I, as somebody who was born in USSR and kind of experienced it a little bit, and I have parents who live there a lot of time, I'm seeing so many similarities between that and communism and the whole cult of personality. I mean, people were crying their eyes out when, Stalin died in 1953, and I'm not gonna tell you about what North Koreans feel about their pins or whatever you want to call them. So it is similar, and when he's calling me Huang, fellow Huang, I kind of right away felt like, Comrade Huang, are you gonna be very respectful in Svalbard or not? So just to clarify, I'm not saying that it's not about how bad capitalism is, it's about how bad communism. No, I'm saying that oversimplifying this TV show is a freaking sin, and you should probably
devour feculence.
If you are doing this. This show is way more than that. It has layers above layers above layers above layers, and this is just a tip of an iceberg of all of those great ideas about people, who you are, what makes you human being, and different ideologies that basically revolve around us, whether it's cults, whether it's capitalism, communism, whatever you want to, religion, whatever you want to bring to it, it's somehow being amazingly covered in Severance. So stop oversimplifying this fucking amazing show, please. And yeah, we have the ritual of breaking the toy. So this is basically, once again, you're not a child anymore, you're a grown-up. But what's interesting for me here is what Miss Selvig had to do, because that she was the one to receive also the same fellowship, the WinterTide fellowship. So she was probably forced to break something that's very important to her, maybe some kind of a toy, maybe something else, but maybe there is something that's way more important, and hopefully this information will be revealed to us. Maybe not in this season, probably not in this season, but maybe in the next one. So let's talk about Burt and Irving, and we are seeing that Helena is saying that we are seeing to Mr. Bailiff, so we're gonna probably take care of him. And for some weird reason, just like the bad guy in the end of the bad movie is starting to tell his plan to the main hero for half an hour, so the hero will be able to escape and defeat the guy, instead of just killing the hero while he's tied in front of you. They decide to send the only guy who has a potential of not finishing the job, and they're sending Burt. They could just send the guy who is driving Helena, and we wouldn't have this beautiful, sunset scene in the end of this episode. And I know it's a beautiful love story, and I'm not saying anything against that, but there were some moments that kind of once again made me scratch my hand. I mean, like, what is going on here in this situation? So Irving is coming back home, and Burt is sitting there because he either broke inside or he has a key, just like Miss Selvig and just like Drummond. So either he's very good at breaking in without leaving a trace, or he's important enough to have the same set of keys like, Lumen executives like Drummond and Selvig. So either way, he's probably not a simple driver.
But also we learn in this episode that Burt is in fact a Lumen operative, and has done things You know, we don't know what, but he says he's taken people places. And
Yeah, he says he's just a driver.
yeah, he says he's just a driver. But, you know, that scene when Irving comes home and finds Burt there waiting for him, that's the amazing flip side of Christopher Walken, who can go from so warm to so cold to so warm again. Burt has wrestled with the things he's done in his life.
Yes.
And he and Fields have talked about that. And that was almost the purpose of him being severed, was to try to find redemption somehow, right?
To find like the innocence in himself.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, it's, you know, he's doing something very beautiful and he doesn't have to do it. Yeah.
It's interesting how the reach of this company and what it does, it corrupted their relationship on the inside. I mean, it ended their relationship on the inside just as it was starting to bloom. And then on the outside, it's just completely seeping into both of their lives and corrupting anything that may be between them.
But then again, in this moment, and he has like a very interesting set of flags here, Irving. I don't know if it's connected somehow to our ideas, but this is just something that I noticed. And when Burt is basically heard about Irving investigating him and thinking that he's a Lumen goon, which he kind of is, even though he's probably from higher level of goons, Irving is like, no, I now know you're not with them. He just told you that he's with them. He's like, you know, like Lumen, it's very specific language. We are not being called goons, we are called something else. And Irving is like, la 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 la, you're not from Lumen, you're not from Lumen. I mean, I know you're in love, but it doesn't really matter. If you're coming back home and somebody who you are in love with is sitting at your place and he has this, you know, a little bit of threatening presence there, maybe you should consider something else. Or maybe, you know, Irving was just being afraid in this moment. He was like, no, you're not from Lumen, don't kill me, don't hurt me, please. But I don't know, it kind of, once again, doesn't work for me. So when Burt is saying to Irving that he drove people places, it right away gave me the vibe of, you know, I paint people houses from Irishman. I don't think he was killing people, but when he's like, you know, saying that he wanted to do the whole severance procedure because he wanted to feel innocent again, he knew that he was driving people for their death. I didn't really care, I didn't really know, I didn't ask what happened to them once they got there. So, you know, like, this is not something that a taxi driver or just a driver would probably tell you. Like, I drive people from point A to B and I don't really care what happens to them when they're arriving. Obviously, you're not supposed to care, but if you are mentioning this, it means you know that something bad happened to those people. So whatever this is, I don't think we are over with Burt. I think his role in Lumen is way bigger than just being a driver before he was severed and, you know, became, you know, the Burt with the O&D department. I think there is way more than that there. So we have this train. I was not able to recognize the logo, probably something fake that they put on the train, or maybe it's a real one, but in the podcast, they said that they were looking for a specific trail station, and it kind of have this old kind of look there, and it's some kind of a train station in New York. And once again, we are seeing a very weird signs of some kind of a different era, different period. Look at the clothing, look at the hats the men are wearing. Well, like here in this situation, I mean, look at women, look at the guys, look at the hats, look at the suits. It has this, you know, the 60s, 70s vibe once again, and we have seen, you know, the old TVs, we have seen the old cars from 80s, 90s, obviously not even one modern car from 2020 or at least from 2010 or something like this, not even remotely. But then again, we are seeing, you know, smartphones and tablets and very modern technology from our time, so we still don't have a clue what the hell is going on. Is that some kind of an alternative universe, or this just, you know, like fucking with us, just basically, you know, we just like to see you suffer, in quotation marks, because we're obviously enjoying this. And the reason why we're enjoying this is because of something that's called need for cognition. This is a psychological term that basically determines how much are you enjoying this whole process of thinking about something. So if you are given a riddle and it takes you more than an hour or 2 hours or a day or two, whatever it is, the higher your need for cognition is, the more fun you will have during this process and the more patience you will have. So if somebody is, for example, is pissed off that in episode 3 of season 1 of a 5-season TV show we still didn't have all of the answers for all of the questions that the TV show gave us, and I know you have seen those comments under my videos and under videos of different YouTubers, so this is probably somebody who has a low cognition, a low need for cognition. And it doesn't say that this person is somehow less intelligent, it's just a feature that we have in our characteristics. If you have a high need for cognition, you are looking for those TV shows, you are looking for those riddles because you are enjoying not only the answers, you are enjoying the whole process of your brain being twisted in a crazy knot, and you really love this. And this is why you're watching TV shows like Severance, From, Dark, Lost, Wayward Pines, Attack on Titan, whatever it is, something that makes you go crazy thinking about the answer, but you enjoy this, means that you have a very high need for cognition. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm saying, you know, royal we, because I'm the only guy who's basically running this channel. I have a new merch, and it's called Need for Cognition, so you can check this out. I'm actually preparing a special video explaining this term in detail, and I think it's gonna be a very interesting one, but I kind of ordered a sample of the t-shirt for myself, so I want to make the video when the t-shirt is gonna arrive, and I also want to like let you know if the quality is good. But meanwhile, if you are familiar with Spring and you know the store and you know that the quality there is very good, you can go ahead and order. And we are coming back to the video. And let's talk about Dylan and the cartoon. I mean, his kids are allowed to watch different cartoons in this house or not? Or he's the one watching this cartoon, because right now there are no kids in town in the house because they were taken by some guy in Asher. I know I had the karate trainer. He was from Morocco, I think, or from Iraq originally, and his name was Asher also. I don't know who is Asher, is it a guy or a girl? It can probably be both. Maybe it's a nanny of some sort. Maybe it's not somebody who is important or at all, but in this moment we also can see that she is wearing the 911 badge, so she is from emergency service in Kier town, and she's probably from ENT because we have seen in one of the episodes a sign with something medical on there, so she's probably not a cop, she's probably not a firefighter according to her uniform, she's probably an EMT, and this is why she's working nights. And when Dylan is realizing that she basically cheated on him with him, he's throwing his, you know, power shake. Kind of feels like this is some sort of a diet shake. Maybe he was trying to get in shape for his wife, and then like all of the efforts are in vain because you basically kissed me, but not exactly me, because you are more interested in somebody else's personality in the same body. So, you know, changing this body not really having any effect. I just need to change my personality here. So I don't know, maybe once again it's a big stretch, but it kind of felt a little bit interesting why they were focusing on this, you know, the very green, obviously dietetic kind of a shake here. Anyway, moving forward to the next scene, and a sentence that can be probably relevant only to this TV show. I chuckle every time I read it. I told you about us. It's crazy, it's absolutely insane, and the fact that it's kind of logical in this TV show just once again let us understand how freaking amazing Severance is, that it kind of makes us dive into those weird zone of human psyche.
You know, she, I think, is like a stand-up partner in a relationship, says, hey, I kissed this guy. And, you know, she's just trying to be honest. Yeah. Because I think she wants to connect with him. Yeah. And of course, Dylan can't take that because he's feeling like, great, my wife kissed another guy. Right. That's great. That makes me feel great. Maybe I'll go quit.
And the fact that his reaction is the same as his Audi's reaction, which is, I'm going to quit. Like, right. They both have the same. They both
have the same reaction.
Instinct for vastly different reasons.
This moment is also kind of funny to me, not because he was denied here, you know, the proposal, but because on the background we can see very sad, emotionless images of, you know, Dylan's Innie and Gretchen here. We remember in the first episode when they actually met, the first time they met, there were a lot of images of Dylan's Audi, but now it's his Innie holding a cup here, holding a mug of some sort, and she's just looking there, and it's really emotionless. And I think, the whole fact that Dylan G was in love with Gretchen, it obviously has some sense because they are in love on the outside and they obviously have some kind of affection towards each other. But it's also like, think about this, being a person, being somebody who never experienced love, and then you get an option to experience it, you're probably gonna fall in love 100% of the time. And I think that for Dylan G, there is a possibility to find somebody else, just like for Mark S, it was possible to find somebody else who is not Gemma. I think for Dylan G there is also hope. Like here he is given a ring made from one of the, the finger traps here, because they're very important. And I think once again, super cute, super amazing moment, but you cannot just not feel for Dylan here. It's obviously, soul crushing the whole moment here. But you know me, I'm focusing on different things, because when they're saying that it's just O and D and the gold people, and Helly is saying that we know of, I'm once again coming here with receipts, and I'm like, what the hell? What in the actual vessel sharing? What in the feculence are you talking about? There are way more departments. There is, this department, CL, and you have there Catherine M and Melissa O, and you can find here, it's a little bit blurry, but there is someone who's named Anita here, and we have something very blurry here also, but there is Alize here also, a lot of dudes, like a big sausage party of a department, and there's just one Alize girl there. But then again, there are more departments, and it's not only me who knows that. You're supposed to know this, because the reason why I have those screenshots is because you've been in this room and you've seen this wall, and you know that there is something that's called MDR there, and you have seen your names there, and there's something that's called WN, and there's also something that's TA, I think, or something that I don't have a screenshot for you right now, and there is the CL. So go ahead and look, Dylan. Go ahead and look, you're gonna find your love, and stop saying stupid shit like there's only O&D and the gold department. You're supposed to know this. And this image is a masterpiece. It's just an absolute masterpiece. I mean, the way Kier is holding his hand when he's quitting, when he's basically checked every box saying that he's absolutely miserable here. For some reason, he got approved, even though, if you remember,
if you're really unhappy, you can submit a resignation request with your outside self for review.
And good luck getting that approved.
And we're seeing that right now, Dylan is basically at the mercy, with very big air quotation marks here, of Kier and Eagans at all, and LumonIndustries at all, whether he's gonna survive this or not. My money is obviously, of course, yes, because it cannot be the end of his story, even though Dylan's Audi wants to quit too. But then again, an easy paycheck, a lot of money, this is not something that he's gonna be able to replace easily, as we have seen in this season. So he's gonna come back, and Dylan obviously gonna get over that, because even though he's right now suffering, we know he's an alpha dude, and when you've been rejected by a girl, you go work out and you go back on that horse. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the final topic that we're gonna discuss today is Helena Eagan and, the zombie dude. So first of all, she's eating an egg on a plate that is obviously somehow connected to Lumen ideology. We have somebody who's being trapped here by two, twins. One of them wearing blue, one of them wearing red. They have those pointy hats of, like a doctor or some sort. Once again, something that kind of makes me feel about control. So they are holding somebody, those two different personalities, and everything, by the way, in Lumen's house, in Egan's house, is in the blue palette of color. So I don't know about that. By the way, those flowers, I wasn't able to identify them, but they don't look real. They look artificial. Like everything here in this place kind of look artificial. Just look at this room. Everything looks super expensive. First of all, I mean, this chair looks probably more expensive than the apartment that I'm living in, and everything kind of just screams soulless. The colors, the furniture, the way they're basically even eating food, even eating a freaking egg, and Eagan here is like, just, I wish you take them raw. This kind of vaguely sexual, but then again, maybe he's just Gollum. Give it to us raw. And I know this is a reference to, Kier Eagan's favorite breakfast.
He used to drink 3 raw eggs and milk each morning.
Still, the whole moment is freakishly weird, but then again, BenStiller in the podcast explains perfectly why he needed this scene.
Well, it actually was inspired by my life because my dad used to like to watch me eat eggs in the morning.
Really?
No. I didn't. This is all Dan Erickson, of course.
I swear to God, if somebody in the comments are not gonna get that this was a joke by Ben, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, another car without their medium minibus here, and they just beautiful cinematography. I just had to share this shot. How amazing this TV show is, how beautiful it is. It's just, we're lucky. I don't have anything else to say, just we are freaking lucky to have this TV show in our generation. And a very interesting moment, and I still don't know exactly why it's so important for Eagans to be close to their headquarters in Kier, but we are seeing, according to this water tower, they're basically right in front of LumonIndustries, of the whole, the headquarters where the 7th floor is. I mean, it's kind of pretty convenient for them to arrive at their workplace very fast, but then again, maybe, in this scene later, when like Helly is basically finding the note, and then the creepy zombie guy is arriving here, maybe there is some kind of a tunnel there. Maybe he can travel without using the elevator from his house to the Lumen headquarters, to the 7th floor. But anyway, just once again, it's a crazy theory. He is talking that you tricked me. And I assume he's talking about her tricking him in the end of season 1 when she was like pretending to be Helena. But then he says, "My Helly." I mean, this dude doesn't have any limit in being weird. Like it's a record for him every time. But why he is saying "my Helly," not "my Helena"? I know that he despises, we know that he despises Ini. He's talking about like, Inis, they're not even people, they're not even human. And then he's saying like "my Helly" with some sort of an affection. Is it a short name for Helena? Like something that he used to call her when she was a child? Or is it some reference to him actually feeling some affection or maybe some sympathy towards HellyR, the Ini Helly? Maybe she as a personality, something that was refined by him. I don't know, once again, it's a super crazy stretch and probably something that we're going to discover in the next episode in season finale. And this is exactly what I was talking about in the beginning of this video. Like everything in this episode screams, just wait for the next week, we're gonna blow your mind. Like every storyline, even Irving and Burt, I don't think it's the end for them. I think both of those actors are very strong, popular actors that are supposed to be there, and I'm pretty sure it just can't be over. I mean, it cannot be over, even though it kind of makes sense. It's sad, it's dramatic, it's romantic. They never experienced love and they're just being broken by this Lumen horrible corporation. But we still don't know why Irving was investigating Lumen, who he was talking on the payphone. So there is still so much information that is being hidden from us. So not revealing it to us is gonna be criminal and we're gonna riot. I'm just telling you, we're gonna riot on the streets and it's not gonna be pleasant. I mean, we have a very high need for cognition. We can wait, but we're gonna need some answers in the end. Who was Irving talking to on the payphone? You're gonna have to let us know. And by the way, before I finish this video, I actually have something for my, Russian-speaking audience. It's something that we call, Severed, even though it doesn't have any connection to the TV show. You can see it's just some kind of fantasy figurine. And basically, I'm writing a story about this person. It kind of sounds a little bit stupid, like we had, first of all, basically the figurine, and then we're writing the story. But it makes sense, like some people basically approached me and they were like, "We like your stuff, we like the thing that you're doing on YouTube. We want to do some kind of a doll, some kind of a merch for you." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So we came up with this idea, and then I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe there is something I want to write about this, like maybe a short book or a short story, whatever it is. So I'm writing it right now, and obviously I'm not selling it yet because it's, it's kind of stupid. I want to sell it with the story so it will make sense why it's, like that, why it's severed, why you have like two personalities in one here. But just let me know if this is something that's interesting for you, if this is something you can see on your bookshelf, because right now we have the whole delivery system kind of figure out for the whole, Russia, Ukraine, basically post-USSR territory. We know how to deliver there, but we need to figure out how to deliver to, Europe, United States, Canada, Australia, etc. And I don't know if it's something worthwhile because it's not going to be cheap since we're not producing like it's not mass production. We just basically printing one or two every time there is an order. So the whole production cost is pretty high. So, like selling it for 40 I mean, even $50 can be only logical solution here. So it's only for the, people that really want to buy something like this. And if it's not something that's interests you, it's okay. We are kind of having pretty good right now, the pre-orders type of shit, whatever you want to call it, in the Russian market. But once again, if this is something that's interesting to you, let us know. You can write in the comments like severed or severance, and I will know that you are interested in that kind of a figure. So too much ads for this video, I know, but there was a whole week that I was, sick of reintegration. I had like, I don't know, a very weird feeling. I didn't make any videos, so I need to catch up, and unfortunately I need to put some ads in this video. Even though when I'm saying unfortunately, I still believe, the t-shirts and this is a pretty good product. It's something that's gonna make you happy if you like this kind of thing. So it's not like I'm advertising you some feculence. So anyway, thank you so much, and I want to thank also the people that supports me on Patreon and on YouTube. Your help, your financial support is what makes this channel possible. This is not just words, this is a freaking fact. Especially when this week I was like sick from the reintegration, I just had this thought that there are people waiting for me, that there is somebody who is really interested in my videos, and somebody's trust I can never disappoint. And I want to welcome new motivators, Brenna S, Julie Rowe, and A. Just A, which is pretty cool. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I hope I'm gonna see you on the next video, which probably gonna be very soon, but the next thing is gonna be released on this video is hopefully a live stream. I'm waiting for Reel's confirmation. Last week I was on his channel, and this week he is supposed to come to my channel. If not, and he's not gonna be able to do it, we're still gonna have a live stream with just me, and we're gonna discuss all of the topics. But if it's gonna come, it's gonna be a legend. Wait for it. Dairy. So I'm gonna see you on the next video, and meanwhile, bye.